Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
What it do?
All right, so hit me. You told me,
All right.
Corin said, oh, let me take the floor at first. I got a controversial thing to talk about.
I got a big time topic I got to discuss. Okay. So this is going to be pretty controversial. Some people might get mad at me, but I'm going to say it. All right. I don't think I genuinely like soda. I think it's in my instinct, which is a good thing. My body, I don't think genuinely would like pick soda if it was the last choice I had to make. And let me tell you why. I have no drinks in my house. I had to run outside of my house. I have this little personal pizza closing out of something. I have this little personal pizza that we bought from Costco.
Something.
I get a little nervous when I had to return my iPhone to Best Buy, like that they were going to do some special magic and find some like secret server and like be like, we just got to close out of the, oh shit. And I was like, but luckily they didn't get me got on anything. Molly was there. Her father was there. It would have been really bad. It would have been like a store announcement. Like, hey, Bob, come over here. You got to see this, man. Can you believe what this kid is watching? The guy's like, an elephant? So anyway, I had a personal pizza. I've got nothing to drink in my house. I had chocolate milk, and I was debating if I was going to pour myself a cup of cold chocolate milk because I think the cold might have satisfied my thirst, but the chocolate milk would have countered out that like coldness, and I just wouldn't have been satisfied with a cold ass drink, and it didn't pair well with pizza.
Yeah, I was team no on that, on the chocolate milk. No way.
So I had to run outside my house to the ATM, needed money for my wife, and I needed a drink. So I went to the gas station, and I had my option of all drinks. And mind you, I'm at my lowest thirst level, so I could choose from anything.
Side point. How far is the gas station from your place?
Oh, real close. It's close.
So, like, if you hop in the car, how long?
2 minutes.
Okay. That's kind of clutch.
Yeah, it's super clutch. But, like, usually I'll have some type of drink in my house that can, like, satisfy my
But I'm
whatever.
thinking because the gas station that's closest to me, I got mad stuff near where I live, but the gas station closest to me does not have, it's not like a convenience store with it. And that sort of gets me pissed.
Yeah, that would get me tight too. Like having to drive a little bit of a distance.
Yep.
So
exactly.
anyway, I have my selection of drinks, and I start thinking as I'm driving there, like, am I going to get vanilla Coke? Am I going to get this? Am I going to get the other thing? Long story short, they don't have the flavor I like, but I got Arizona iced tea, half lemonade, half iced
It's
tea.
an Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer joint, and it's the light version, which sort of changes it a little bit. That's all they had.
But that's a genius decision. I will defend you on that to the death.
And I got a backup, just a diesel Gatorade. And
I actually had that flavor the other day.
That's what I'm saying. I was going to go with the cool blue, which is the normal. The light blue joint is just a very safe zone. If they don't have the cool blue, the darker blue one is okay. Mm-hmm. But this Arctic Blitz shit came to play. Like they're not fucking around with this one.
It's so funny because I just had that the other day, and I probably picked it for the same reason you picked it, which is like I hadn't seen it before, and I was like, ooh.
And it's like it's an inviting color. It's like
definitely an inviting color, but also to go back to the Arnold Palmer, genius. That is underrated as a drink. Underrated.
Super underrated.
It's like, for people who don't know, it's half lemonade, half iced tea.
Yep.
Like, how genius is that? That's so genius. And that's Arnold Palmer he always said, like, oh, I would go, professional golfer Arnold Palmer, who's now passed away. He's really old, but he said everywhere he went, he would just be like, give me half lemonade, half iced tea.
Do you believe that motherfucker invented that shit, or did he steal that idea from like some like server or some shit?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I kind of believe him. I kind of believe him.
You don't think he saw like a caddy, some GS caddy that was like in the clubhouse and was like doing it, and like
that would be a sort of a scandal. That'd be a scandal a little bit.
I'm gonna throw that scandal out there because you know me, I'm controversy Corin. I think there was some GS caddy that was just in there and like professionals don't think of shit like that. Like they get brought ideas and they steal ideas. They're not the ones who are thinking of the actual ideas.
The thing that I love about that is that like it's one of those things that's right there. Like it's right there waiting for you to discover it, and then once you discover it, it's like, I got it. Like this is so genius. Like
Yes.
those are the best things, the things that nobody's doing, but they're so simple, but once you get it, it's like, oh, we figured it out. Like,
Or even someone who put like ice in their drink. You know, like because they
Yeah,
probably
the
just
first
filled up
person to
their
do
cup.
that was genius.
Yeah. You know what I saw before too? Someone at Hooters had a pitcher of beer and they took a bag of ice and they like put it in the middle of their pitcher and poured the beer around it. For some reason, like when I saw it that day, and I might have been twisted or just in a good ass mood because I was at Hooters, but I was like, that's sort of genius. Like they're keeping their beer cold.
Yeah, it's a different way to keep it cold. But listen, the thing you said about soda, you don't really mean that, do you? That you don't like soda?
I think I do, man, because it's like it didn't even really cross my mind as like I was at like my clearest state of whatever I needed.
But you could just not be in the mood for a soda. You know what I mean? Like you're treating it like you don't like it, when in reality it's just you weren't in the mood for it. Because if I make you go, if we run this experiment 10 times, there's not a single time you're walking in there and going, I'm getting a vanilla Coke or I'm getting an Orange Crush.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends also. It's a little brisk outside, so maybe that plays a factor. If it was a little hotter and I had like 2 of those mini pizzas, maybe I would want a soda. But soda didn't even cross my mind. But there was one thing that did, and I'm about to hit you with some shit that I had to get.
Go ahead,
You hear the crunching already.
Oh, hell yeah. Although I will say about those, I always thought they looked much better than they actually are. Because,
these shits are bomb.
no, when I look at them, I think it's going to be the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life. And then I eat it, and it's good, but it's definitely not even close to the most delicious dessert I've ever had in my life.
Seriously?
But, I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm not hating on them, but what I'm saying is they set the bar so high because they look so good.
Those shits do
Meanwhile,
look good. And they do taste fucking good,
As
though.
you're eating that, I got the wackest snack in human history.
What do you have? Cheerios?
They're not even honey nut, dog. They're just the regular shits.
I'm about to put you on the spot. Are those some hood shits or are those the real Cheerios?
No, these are the legit ones.
Like the yellow box and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that bag looked a little suspect and big.
Well, because I took it out of the box.
Yeah.
Because the box was just mad obnoxious, but like this is all I have right now. So, I mean, I'm actually kind of hungry too, so it's kind of a shame. But I still can't believe you don't like soda because now listen, I will say I like soda, but I don't have it a lot. I have it very rarely because I'm the seltzer man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that if I open that door, I could go too far with it. Where like Trump drinks like multiple Diet Cokes every day. They're mad people who have like all they drink is soda. And that's so unhealthy. I don't want to be like that. So what I do is I'll have a soda like maybe once a week or once every other week. But like
Clench your palate of that shit.
But I'm always having seltzer. Like that's just my go-to, which everybody knows anyway.
So if you're at stage 0 where you were at, I'm at, you're not getting a Gatorade or something. It's a seltzer. I could see you getting a Gatorade.
It depends because usually like I get seltzer like in bulk, so all I have is seltzer. But then if I'm in a situation where I'm going out like you're describing, that is the rare situation where I will grab something else, where I will maybe get an Orange Crush or sometimes just get a Coke or get whatever. Like I'll switch it up too. I'm well known for when I do have that soda every once in a while, I'll hit you out of the blue with something that you'll look at me like, really, that? And I'll be like,
Mountain
yeah.
Dew purple shit or something like that.
So
right?
anything. I will take my time and walk through the aisle and just be like, and really decide like I'm picking some like your super important stuff, you know?
Like people do research on cameras and shit like that. Like you do the same with like a Code Red Mountain Dew.
I will pace an aisle for legit like 5 minutes, and just you could see me standing there like this, just looking, and just like my mind is doing like the calculations and just like trying to figure out exactly what the best thing would be.
If you ever want to meet Kyle, just go to a CVS on like a Thursday night and go to the drink aisle, and you'll probably see him there.
There were a couple times I was recognized in CVS too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, one time dude was like, he actually had his phone out because he was gonna show me to say, you look like this dude.
Oh, wow.
He was like, Kyle? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh! And then later on, he mentioned, he was like, yeah, I like your show, The Damage Report. And The Damage Report is John Idarola's show. And I was like, that's John Idarola's show. And he was like, no, secular talk. And I was like, you thought I was John Idarola. And we were joking around. But, yeah.
But I don't know. So shout out to Gatorade for making this joint, because these look like they're too big, But this is a perfect size drink.
No. That is a super perfect size drink. I love that size.
Yeah, it's perfect for ball because like when you play ball, you'll drink the whole shit.
Perfect.
If you're at home, you'll normally drink to like right about here, which is sort of like the halfway mark to maybe like the bottom tier mark, like right above the frost.
Mm-hmm.
Then it hits you with like you could put it back in your fridge. You could put it next to your bed. If you get thirsty in the middle of the night, you could take a sip. It doesn't feel like too sugary that you got to rebrush your teeth. It's just the perfect, like you could keep it to the next day into the afternoon if you have a little meal. Like it's just Gatorade hit it out of the park with this shit.
When I had that, it's funny you say that, like, oh, it's good for ball. When I had that, I actually hit a bunch of golf balls. Like I bought it at the gas station on the way to go hit some golf balls. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you're right. By the time I was done, I still had half of it left.
Yep.
And then later on, I was sipping it. I was like, and I had that exact same thought. I'm like, this is a really good size. I wish that, like, I could see myself stocking up on these sorts of things.
It's genius.
But anyway, when we're at Politicon and when we're in LA, if people see us, then that might be when you see me like going to town on some soda because. You know, it's not the normal thing. Like we're out doing stuff, so we go to a restaurant or something. I'll probably have a soda or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. If we're not like having a Corona or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Soda goes perfectly with a meal or something. But like seltzer's still going to be your go-to shit. Like we're going to have to stop at like a CVS beforehand and pick up some seltzer.
Well, see but the funny thing is people will probably see me not having seltzer because if they do see me, it's when we're out.
Yeah.
But you will see me only have the seltzer because you know what's going to the hotel room. Seltzer.
Seltzer and Gatorade.
Seltzer, Gatorade. 100%.
Yep.
That's what it is. So it's funny because they know me as the seltzer guy, but every time people will see me, I probably won't be having seltzer. Although I will probably carry a bottle with me when we're at Politicon.
You should wear a holster of just seltzers.
By the way, just so everybody knows, Corin, I don't know if I told you this, but they set up an official meet and greet.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so I'm doing a bunch of events. I think one debate and 2 events, and then also there's a meet and greet. And get this, at first they were like, oh, you know, if you want, you could do a meet and greet. And they said something like, you know, we have an area specifically for that. You know, we could have it 20 minutes and have guards there and stuff. And I was like, 20 minutes? I was like, nah, you gotta. So anyway, I got them all the way up to an hour and 30 minutes. They'll let me do the meet and greet.
That's what's up. Yeah, it took a while. I mean, like,
yeah, last time.
See,
unfortunately, and this is even with an hour and 30 minutes, it's going to be very busy. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm going to have to, we have to commit, you and I, to like, okay, like, if you want me to sign something, I'll sign something, we'll take a picture, but then we have to keep it moving because I have to get everybody in here. And they have a hard out after that hour and 30 minutes where somebody else has got to come in and do it. So to squeeze everybody in, we might have to be on some sorry guys, but we got to keep it moving stuff because there's no way around it. But I feel bad because at the same time, I do want to give everybody a bunch of time, but it all depends. Like if the size of the line is reasonable where I can give them each 2 minutes, cool. But I got a bad feeling it's not going to be like, it's probably going to be, you know, I can only give everybody 30 seconds or a minute. Yeah.
And if you got a banging ass idea about like opening up a strip club with me and Kyle or something like that, just pitch that to me on the side. Don't hold that one to yourself.
Again, we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but you got recognized quite a bit as well. I would say a decent number. So what percentage of the people who knew me knew you?
Like 2%.
Nah, I would say like 20, 2 out of 10.
I don't know, but it was cool. It was cool just to like be sitting there watching you do your shit and then like be like, oh, excuse me, do you mind if I sit here? And they're like, oh shit, you're Corin. And I'm like, oh shit, I am cool.
That is cool, isn't it? My favorite moment was, remember when we went into the Chris Christie thing and then I asked the question? Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, but after I asked the question, we walked out. We left. And as we're walking out the door, like 25% of the room gets up out of the chair and follows us. This is during the Chris Christie event. Yeah. That felt so gangster because I was like, all right, like we're going to go do something else. And then a sea of people follow us outside, and then they start talking to us, asking us questions because they know who we are. And I was like, damn, that was cool. Because then Chris Christie's sitting there, and he's like, where did like a giant chunk of my audience just go?
Where did all of my audience go? Because there was only like 40 people in there to begin with.
Well, that's
the other all 40 of them left.
That's the other hilarious thing, though, is that like, and hopefully they're better this year, but when they determine who goes in what room at what time, they do it based off old school establishment thinking. The establishment thinking is, oh, this person's a host on CNN and this person's a YouTuber. The CNN person's got to get the big room and the YouTuber's got to get the smaller one.
100%.
And then 100% they miss. Like they don't calculate properly, you know?
Yeah. You know what's going to happen though that I mean like not worried about, but like for your sake, when you finish this shit on stage, there's going to be people waiting off on the side like how they were last time. You remember? And like you sort of had to go to the end of the stage.
We're not going to be able to this year. We won't, because we were literally clogging hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
Talking to people.
I remember after one of your debates, it was literally right in front of the stage. It was packed. I still have a picture. It was just like I was behind the swarm of people, like taking a picture, and you couldn't even see you in this shit.
Yeah. So So unfortunately, we can't do that this time. But there is that hour 30-minute meet and greet.
Yeah.
So at least there's an official, because that's what I said. I was like, man, I wish they had set it up like an official thing, so we didn't have to do it scattershot in the hallway, blocking people and whatnot. And that's what they did. So now we're gonna have that.
Or like I said, just hope that like you see us at like some bar eating a bowl of nachos and some cheese.
Well, that was the other cool thing is remember that happened? We were sitting next to the hotel, right near the Staples Center, and
the Clippers were playing.
Were playing. Was it Clippers or Lakers? I think it was Lakers.
It was Clippers that night. They were playing OKC. Yeah.
Okay, but then another night we were there. It was the Lakers playing.
Lakers opened up their season. LeBron's first game. Well,
yeah, you're right. So, and then somebody walked out, and they like walked right up to us, and they were like, "Man,
GS dude." I mean,
took pictures. Him and his girlfriend.
Yeah, it was like you were awesome with it because you were like we were inside this little barricaded thing, and he had saw you, and like he didn't want to really like he knew he saw you and like was a big fan of yours, and you sort of broke the ice and were like, "Come over here, dude." Like
he sort of hit me with like some almost like some Nurashell level like acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like he almost hit me with like one of those like I know you and I'm gonna make it seem like you might know me too. He almost hit me with that sort of a head motion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I thought that was cool. And here's why, guys, because and you know this, Corin, because you were with me the entire time. When you're on the premises of the event Politicon, I'm noticed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But when second you step out, obviously it drops massively because I'm just a normal dude in a normal place, you know?
Yep.
And, like, I still get recognized every now and then, but it's not, like, the difference is, like, 9 out of 10 people walking through Politicon know who I am. And then when I'm out at a random-ass place, it's, like, 1 out of 10 people, if that.
Yeah, more than that, I think, yeah.
Well, either way, for me, it was a little surprising because it's, like, because I'm expecting when I'm at Politicon, oh, that's when people see me. And then the second I'm far enough away, you put me 150, 200 yards away from the event, all of a sudden that drops.
Yeah.
And so I was a little surprised at that moment. And I don't even think that dude went to Politicon, right? Didn't we ask him? Weren't we like, oh, are you there?
I don't think so. I think he was just chilling with his girl at the Clippers game and like just like knew you from him, like that you were his political source.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's got to be a weird ass feeling, like being like even like a super celebrity or something like that. And you know, in the U.S., you're so popular, like. There's like these Japanese pop stars in like this big group they're like the Beatles in Japan or whatnot. And they come to Times Square and like, yes, if they're on like Good Morning America or something like that, like all the young Japanese girls and all these little teeny boppers know who they are, but they could just walk around and nobody know who they are. It's got to be the same, like, you know, if like a big time U.S. celebrity goes to like, I don't know, Serbia or some shit.
Well,
like
I think they like it. Like Tiger Woods was talking about how he went with his kids and his girlfriend and his mom to Thailand because she's from Thailand.
Yeah. And
like they went there on a vacation and he was saying nobody recognized me. And I think he likes that because when you're like an A-list celebrity, it's too much. You get recognized too much. You can't like no anonymity at all. Like for me, my hobby's golf. When I go play golf, I'm not getting recognized at the golf course. You want to know why? Because it's mostly older white dudes who are like lean conservative.
They might know you from Fox News.
No, they don't. I don't know if I've ever once gotten oh no, I have gotten once. Once I got recognized at the golf course. But the dude was really nice and he watched the show and his daughter watched the show.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, but it was only once. Most of the time I don't get recognized there because it's just the demographic type thing. But what I would say is I'm in that sweet spot where it's mostly upsides, where it's like I get recognized enough I don't get recognized enough where I get desensitized to it But when I do get recognized, it's every now and then, and it's just cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you talk to somebody like Joe Rogan, even he would say, I'm a little too much at this point. Like, because he's going to get recognized everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
And there's no anonymity at all.
Yeah.
There's a cool middle ground where it's like, you'll get recognized every now and then, and it just feels cool because it's like people are your friend and they're just like, hey, it's you. But too much it'll drive you crazy. And then obviously a regular person, we're all used to being regular people. I mean, obviously, we're all that as well. You know what I mean? Like, where nobody recognizes you. But it's like, it feels a little more like cool in the sense that it feels like you have friends everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
I was just going to agree with you. It's always cool, or it's just like a rewarding or refreshing feeling when you go back somewhere and you see somebody just because it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. It's like, okay, he knows me, I know him. And there's just like that bonding thing. Like you go back to your old high school and you see a teacher it makes you feel accepted. And you're like, all right, I could be here right now because I know that guy. And I used to do that when I used to go back to the garden and like try to walk around. You'd always try and find one person that because then it's just like, okay.
And you knew them. Like you knew the people there because you worked there for so long.
100%. Yeah.
So you could be in some weird place where where normal people who bought tickets can't go.
Yeah.
And you're there and you're like, oh, I'm in this back area.
Yeah. And then if there was like one security guard or something who was new and didn't know me, all I'd have to do is make eye contact with the one dude who's been there for a hot minute.
And then you're
like,
good.
Nah, he's good. He's been here forever. Like, don't be on some shit. So
that's
like,
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's good being on the same page as someone and like someone. It's refreshing. Someone recognizing you. I know for me, when I got spotted in New Orleans by I think it was Brody or Brady or some shit. It was also cool because I was with Molly and it sort of made her be like, oh shit.
Yeah, you texted me when that happened. Yeah, it happens quite a bit because there's been multiple times you've texted me and been like, yo, I was just recognized. Obviously, the best one was Justin Jackson.
That was unreal, man.
Shout out Justin Jackson yet again.
Justin gets another shout out, and I want to tweet at him if he's ready to go this week, man, because the Chargers need him badly. They lost last week, and I'm a little tight.
Yeah. So how bad? I know he got a little bit hurt, but how bad is it? It's not that bad, right?
I don't know the extent of his injury. I think it was just like some I don't know. I think he might have twisted his ankle or some shit. I don't even really know, but yeah, he's been out for like the last 2 weeks, but he was doubtful this last week, so I'm assuming he's going to be ready to go this week, and hopefully he could just fire it up and stay where he's been at.
Well, I hope he's fully better. We send our best, Kyle and Corin. We send our best to Justin Jackson. Get better soon, Justin. Man.
Get better, man. Shout out because we're rooting for you, and we're rooting for the Chargers too.
That's right, yeah. And think about that. As New Yorkers, that's supposed to be like you're not allowed to root for Boston and you're not allowed to root for LA, but we're violating that. We are violating that.
Yeah, man.
To be Chargers fans.
Yep.
Anyway, so just before I get into, I had 3 things I really wanted to talk about. I want to save them for just a second because while we touch the topic of sports, dude, the Knicks game. There was one preseason game.
Not sold. You're trying to sell.
I know. But let me just say real quick, why.
All right.
I'm not miserable. The default position would be misery for the Knicks every season forever. Okay, but here's why I'm not miserable. I'm not necessarily optimistic, but I'm not miserable, and here's why. First of all, when I read that article about, since obviously everything was a flop, we didn't get anything we wanted, right? So basically, to fill in that void, and you're never going to fill it in, but to try to make up for it a little bit, they decided, let's just go super tall. Let's do something weird and different. And so they have a super tall team. The Knicks are just giant, okay? And in this era, as Corin knows, this is the era of small ball. This is the era of everybody's gonna jack up threes, and that's how you're gonna win.
Yep.
Now, Corin and I spoke about this a little bit the other night, but my whole thing was I get it that's the era we're in, and I get it that's really efficient because once everybody's shooting well and you do that could be very effective. But I don't understand why you can't get a situation where, let's say you have a dominant center come along, or let's say a 1-2 punch of a dominant center and a dominant big power forward. So you got a 7'2" dude and a 6'11" dude, and they're dominating down low. I don't see why that necessarily wouldn't work. You can, if you get the right pieces, you could make that work, I think.
Yes.
So with the Knicks, we got filled with height at every position, which is actually kind of cool when you think about it. And then here's the other thing. The announcers were talking about how since they kind of know that their squad is buns a little bit, so they said they were focusing during training on, like, listen, bottom line, we're a defensive team. Our identity is all defense. So we're going to OD on defense. We're going to make sure we lock down. And the first thing I noticed watching that game, they never took it for granted. They were never standing around. They were suffocating defense to the point where I was like, damn, like this is impressive actually to watch their defense. And then now here's the last piece of the puzzle, which again I was surprised by. So they know that their team's not that great, but they're working as good as they can with what they have. And so what they would do is lock down on D, and then they would get fast break points. So like they would lock down on D, and then immediately it would, as much as they could, they would get fast break points. And dog, they legit looked like a team. Like they look good. And here's why I'm not miserable. Because at least what I'm seeing now is a philosophy in place and an idea behind it. Whereas for the longest time with the Knicks, it was just like nihilism.
Just play ball, yeah.
It was just nothing was happening. Like there was no idea, there was no philosophy, there was no nothing. It was just like grossness happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then the final thing I'll say is, and so I'm not miserable, although they're not going to have a good year because they're the Knicks. They'll never have a good year. But like, at least they have a philosophy. At least they're showing like little signs. And I would hope that there is some sort of a plan where, you know, maybe in the next 3 years, there's some chess pieces that fall into place where we actually can maybe not suck. Now, I would hope that it's the Greek Freak, but you said there's no way.
No shot.
Now, why is that? Why is there no shot on that?
He's super content in Milwaukee. I think he really embraces that small city. They paid him the max contract. I think he's happy there. I think he sort of still flies under the radar while still being a big star. He can walk out in Milwaukee. And to our point, he can get noticed but not hounded. I think they respect him there more so than if he was in a big city. It would just be like overwhelmingly massive for him. I think he gets that when he goes back to Greece, so he gets his fix a little bit in that big city, you know, big fish, just be a worldwide phenomenon guy. They just signed his brother, so it's like they're fully invested in him, and they've done nothing to make him want to leave. You know, they've never said the wrong thing. They've never done anything that he's like, I don't like that.
And
they've gotten better.
He's actually comfortable in a smaller market, is what you're saying too.
He's super comfortable in a smaller market. And
does he not realize that he could be like the best player in the league within a year or two? Like he's that good?
Well, I think he's just super humble. I think he knows he's the best, but it's like he's just bred differently where he really had to fight to make it to the NBA. So he wasn't recruited. He wasn't like, he never like till, I don't know, he was like 17 or something. There's a story that like he was playing in his brother's sneakers and like was always in the lower divisions of like YMCA leagues and just was never good. So it humbled him. It made him fought for, he wasn't always the best player and like highly touted and everybody telling him he was the man. So it made him appreciate, you know, getting better and working hard and having a fight to make it to the NBA, which is almost like what a small market team is all about. You know, they're always wanting to like go to a new city or like try new things. So I think he sort of vibes with that whole Milwaukee, like grittiness. If that makes any sense.
But will he be able to resist like the gargantuan sums of money that New York will be able to throw at him? Because we'll be able to throw a lot of money at him.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Milwaukee can offer him the same money, if not more.
Really? So it's not like, how will they have more than us if we're saving up over the next 3 years?
Well, there's a max contract you can offer in the NBA, so it's not like because they're New York they can offer more money.
So would they would they have the funds to offer him a max contract too?
Oh hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like they're like a homeless team. They got owners with billions of dollars. I mean, like they've got just as much money, you know. Maybe James Dolan has more money, probably not even than the owner, but like the franchise is valued more than the Bucks.
Okay.
But you know, he'll absolutely stay in Milwaukee. So anyone who says that he's gonna entertain other offers and stuff like that, he's a different dude. He's not playing the games like Durant and LeBron and all these dudes. He's already like made up his mind that he wants to be a lifer in Milwaukee. So I will give you one thing. I like that the Knicks are being different. They don't just have bigs that are like just overweight and like powerful down low. They
And
can't run the
lumbering,
floor. Yeah,
lumbering.
they
No,
have bigs
Randall
that
looked really good.
That's what I'm saying. They have bigs that can spread the floor. Taj Gibson was shooting threes last night, making them.
He was looking good too. He was putting moves on people down low.
That's what I'm saying. So like, they're going against the grain a little bit, which is nice because it could really work really well. It could flop, but like at least you're trying something different.
Who was that other dude who was good? There was Randall, who I really liked, and who else did I text you about?
Marcus Morris.
Was Morris the one?
Yeah, he was the one who got ejected for smashing the ball over dude's head.
But is that the dude who was with on the Lakers previously?
That's what the hell is his name? I'm drawing a blank, but his hair's all fucked up. He's got crazy hair.
I literally texted you like the dude. I was looking him up last night.
Bobby Portis.
No, he had like an 11-point average New York Knicks roster. He had like an 11-point career average.
I don't know, but here's my point I made on Sports Buffet the other night is like the Minnesota Twins won't beat the Yankees because they've modeled themselves after the Yankees. So they're sort of like a Diet Coke to their Coke. They're trying to be a home run hitting team when the Yankees have a massive more like payroll and they're the home run hitting team. The Knicks can't be the Golden State Warriors. They can't sign, shooting guards to make all these threes. So try something different to beat these guys and see if it works. So that's the only thing I've got going for the Knicks right now. But other than that, they're still going to be the Knicks, and they're still going to suck.
Oh, it was Julius Randle was the person I was thinking about,
Yeah,
and then
Morris
was the other one.
Yeah.
Morris was nice, and he had like a higher career average than I thought. And then you know who else was pretty good yesterday? Wayne Ellington.
Yeah, Ellington's a solid player.
And Kevin Knox played some good minutes too.
Knox he's super young. I mean, like, we've got a squad, and the one thing I like too is Kevin Durant now, very famously known for getting into Twitter beefs and like being very insecure about everything people are writing about him. He's starting to talk about the Knicks a little bit because he knows that that's sells, and that's like the headline grabbing thing. So he went on Hot 97.
What did he say?
He basically said, he wasn't interested in going to the Knicks
because of Dolan.
Just because the organization. I don't know. We have young guys too, just as much as Brooklyn. But he chose Brooklyn, and basically now is saying, like, all these Knicks fans are coming out and saying, like, don't talk about the Knicks. You didn't, choose us. And now Durant is starting to say, like, oh, it's, the Knicks are always going to be the team of the city, but Brooklyn has their little share too. And it's just like, don't worry about Knicks fans. You didn't come to the Knicks. You took the soft move and went to Brooklyn. So don't worry about what we're doing. We'll beat you guys when we play on the court. And he's still a year away from playing, so he's just trying to stay relevant.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, and I forgot to mention this, is that the first half, R.J. Barrett was bad the first half, but then he came alive in the second half, dog. He went off. In fact,
he's going to be good.
Let me see what he finished with, because there was one point where the announcers, too, were like, he just took over the game. It was his first game as a Knick, and he took it over.
Yeah, he's super young, but he's going to be solid. They just showed a highlight for SmackDown, and The Rock's back on the show now for a couple things.
Yeah, I saw, because they just changed SmackDown now. It's on Friday nights on Fox, so it's a big deal.
No more Thursday SmackDowns? That used to be like, it's shit,
It hasn't been Thursday for a minute.
Oh, didn't they used to have Thursday Night Raw or something?
There was Thursday Night SmackDown, but that was a long time ago. Recently, they've been doing Monday and Tuesday, so Tuesday SmackDown and Monday's Raw.
I'm a little tight at fans. Sorry to switch it, but I'm tight at fans that still get giddy for The Rock coming back, because it's like he's just doing it for his own personal interest. But
the thing about wrestling is, like, it's almost like everybody knows it's like the glory days were like the Attitude Era and stuff. So like the whole thing is built on nostalgia. So whenever you see somebody from that era, it's like, like you get excited. But just to finish the point on R.J. Barrett real quick, he scored 14 of his 17 points in the second half. So he went off in the second. He was nervous at the beginning. He was 0 for 3 at the beginning, but then he went off.
They also played the Washington Wizards. I think me, you, and 3 random followers could beat the Washington Wizards last night. Like, they're going to be so bad.
They still got, what's his face? Beal?
They got Beal. Did he play last night? I don't even know if he played.
I think that he did. Did they have John Wall still or no?
Yeah, he's injured. He tore his ACL, I think, like running around his house or something like that.
Oh, my God.
which always happens to athletes, and the story never really comes out. It's like he tore his ACL walking down his stairs, which is something that no one in ever mankind has ever done. Like how often does someone slip in their house and tear their ACL? It happens to athletes so much.
Well, the
you don't
ACL.
hear the rest of the story.
I know Dustin Johnson one year missed the Masters because he fell in his house down his stairs or something, but it wasn't an ACL thing.
Yeah, but he was definitely twisted, chasing a girl around his house in some pantyhose or some shit. You don't just walk down your stairs and fall.
Something weird happened.
That's what I'm saying. And that happens to athletes all the time. And all you hear is like, oh, he slipped in his kitchen or something like that. Same thing that happened to Jimmy Fallon. You remember when his finger was all fucked up?
Mm-hmm.
He tried to say that he fell cooking and like his hand got caught in the like. There's more to that story. You were twisted.
There's definitely more to it.
Throwing a party, like doing some weird shit, like putting your finger in someone's butthole or something like that, and it got caught. And then you had
imagine it just got. He put his finger in somebody's butt and it got infected. And that's why he's like, we have to amputate it, but we're just going to try to treat it.
He almost had to get his finger amputated, he said. You know that, right?
That's crazy.
I can't imagine what it's like to, like we've said before, if you sprain your pinky or sprain your thumb, you don't realize how much like everything is involved with that.
Yeah, like it's the second you lose any aspect of your health, you go, why didn't I appreciate this part of my health when I had it? And it could be anything. It could be any little thing that's bothering you. It's like, remember when this didn't bother me?
Or just like you get pink eye or something and your eye just starts to itch and then it swells up and you're like, why can't I just go back 5 minutes ago when it was no pink eye?
Yeah.
Or like,
why can't, yeah.
Imagine losing your leg. Like when we freaking like stub a toe or something like that. Imagine trying to balance yourself on one leg. I got a lot
people
of
are tough, man. I mean, that is really difficult. They have like prosthetics are getting better though, where like it's almost like you can have something that's legit, not like you feel like it's part of you, but it's functional like it is part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I'm sure that's so hard to do that stuff.
Oh, even like yeah. Oh.
So, one more thing on basketball. People were semi getting at me and then semi not getting at me over my Lakers tweet.
What was your Lakers tweet?
I said, like, they're kind of absurdly stacked. Like, the team is a little bit stacked.
First off, first games of preseason is we can't judge anything yet. I mean, the NBA.
No, I'm just saying, like, the names, like, on paper.
I mean, they got like nostalgic names. They're like a WWF team of the NBA. Like they got guys who've done shit. Like Dwight Howard was a beast. Rajon Rondo was a beast. LeBron's a beast. Dwight Howard.
I want to push back on that a little bit because here's the deal. First of all, Anthony Davis is a monster. Okay, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. And now he's got a team around him that like, if they mesh well, they could be a serious problem. Now, LeBron, I think there's definitely argument he's on the decline now, but he's still LeBron James, and he's not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you got LeBron, who's arguably the best player on the planet. You got Anthony Davis, who probably all he needed was to be in a situation like this with this surrounding cast. Okay? Yeah. Now, I could stop right there and say on that alone, they're going to be a decent team. Like, on that alone. Okay? But then, like you were saying, how it's like the WWE nostalgia thing of the rest of them. But dog, if those people at this time in their careers, Rondo, Dwight Howard, all they have to do is role play. You know what I'm saying? Like think of the Miami Heat back in the day when what's his face, the dude who was the white dude with the bad back,
Mike Miller.
Like. They
even had Gary Payton on that.
Dog,
shit.
They won rings, and they had a dude who didn't even have a back playing. Like, want to know why? Because he was role playing, and he was playing his role. So if you have Dwight Howard just play his role, if you have Rajon Rondo and whoever else is running point play their role, and then let LeBron and Anthony Davis make the magic happen, they could be a problem, dude.
I just think there's so much that goes into that shit. Like they got to mesh. They're like. Yeah, it all looks great, but like all it takes is one night of Dwight Howard going out or something like that and fucking up the whole chemistry, or like him getting into a fight with Rondo. You're right. It looks great on paper. but that shit goes out the window. I mean, like, it's just like they still have to mesh and they have to win games together. And there's a lot of just like, I mean, there's so many other X factors that come into play. If LeBron is off, if he gets injured, he got injured last year and they just went to shit and their whole team just blew up. So, like, you're right. On paper, they're great, but so are the Clippers. So are the Spurs are still going to be good.
The
Golden
Spurs,
State's still
there's
nasty.
something.
Houston.
The Spurs are on crack or something, like, or they're
Why?
on like steroids.
Oh yeah,
Because they've been good since like 1995.
it's the system. It's the system.
But it's crazy because they're always competitive, like legit competitive.
It's the system. Greg Popovich knows, like, that's what separates. As bad as like CNN and MSNBC and all these shows are, they've got some good system in place that, like, they always. I mean, the people at the top know what they have to do to get their ratings, whether it's talk about the same topic or
Nah, because it's not even the
You don't
ratings
think
for
so?
them. Nah, it's a bad analogy because there's just like they have the market. Like the market on for cable news on TV is CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Like that's it. Like they're it. You know what I mean? Like
but they
they're
know
it.
who to cater to.
No, they don't even get good ratings, dude. This isn't a good analogy, I'm telling you. They don't even get
Really?
good ratings. They get shitty ratings, but they just get a lot of ad money, so they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay on the air.
All right, fine. Fuck that analogy.
But
I can't think of another one.
I was going to say, well, I was trying to think of what the point was that you were making. I just got so triggered by the...
The Spurs just have it's just they could plug anybody into place.
Right.
Something that Knicks can never do.
Like, the formula is so good that it's like, it's hard to fuck it up.
Like, one of these Knicks guys gets injured, one of these bigs gets injured, and it's a wrap. It's not like we could replace him with someone else and be like, hey, this is what we've been doing. Just fill in your role.
Yeah.
They've taught it to these guys. It's almost like studying for a test and just remembering everything, like, spot on. If they give you what you studied, you're going to get a fucking 100. So, like, if everybody doesn't get injured on the Knicks and they play their games, we're going to be okay. But you throw one wrench into that shit, and that shit is going to crumble like a motherfucker.
Wait, Danny Green is on the Lakers, too?
Yeah, they got Danny Green. And they got Jared Dudley, too.
Come on, dude. This team is sort of stacked.
But they're all old, man.
I'm saying there's so many pieces, though. Like, Tyson Chandler's old.
Kuzma's
Chandler's
good.
old as hell.
Chandler's on Houston.
Oh, they have him listed for Lakers here.
No, that was last year's
Okay,
roster.
and Lonzo Ball, where's he? Is he with the Lakers?
No, he's on the New Orleans.
That's right. Yeah, he was traded. I remember him being traded.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's like if I study for a math test and I saw a sneak peek of what the test is going to be, and I know every single question and I know how to show work for every single one of those answers, and then tomorrow, the next day, I go in for the test, and the teacher switched up number 3, and I can't, like, find my place. And even if 1, 2, and all those other shits are fine, I'm completely thrown off because I'm like, the whole shit is different. Yeah, even though number 1 looks exactly the same, there's something's different about that shit because number 3 is different.
I agree with you with one exception, and that is if they replace Dwight Howard with a generic ass 7-footer, that generic 7-footer would be just as good as Dwight Howard at this point.
No, I'm saying for the Knicks.
Oh, for the Knicks. Okay. I thought we were still talking about LA.
No, the Knicks.
Okay.
Like, they might be good right now because we've studied for the test.
No, I agree with you about the Knicks, and here's why. Here's one of the main reasons. Because we got a bunch of veterans who kind of know what they're doing, and then we got some young dudes. And, like, you can't replace... Like, if Taj Gibson gets hurt, that's a huge blow to the Knicks because he's got so much basketball knowledge along with his height. So you can't just replace him with another dude who's like, what is he, 6'9"?
Some shit like that, yeah.
You just can't replace him with another dude like that and think that everything will run as smoothly.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think we're gonna be relying on, like, Julius Randle, Morris, Taj Gibson. Like,
hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So I agree with you on the Knicks for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to.
But the Lakers, I think if Dwight Howard got hurt and they just brought in some random 7-footer straight out of college or whatever.
Oh, hell yeah, they'd be a beast.
Yeah, because Dwight Howard's like the perpetual underperformer.
Yeah.
His
he's
whole
just
career.
A freak of nature, man.
Like,
he's just a freak.
He could have been like Shaq dominant, and he just wasn't.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy to think, and this is so random, but, like, you're better at political shit than Dwight Howard.
than Dwight Howard is at basketball?
No, just like at politics.
Oh, well, obviously.
I know, but it's sort of cool to think that, you know?
That's
Like,
so funny.
he's
I thought you
such
were going to say I'm better at political shit than Dwight Howard is at basketball, and that I would have agreed to also.
Yeah, no, you could make that argument too, but I'm saying just like on the politics spectrum, like he's kind
of funny. Like how much of an airhead he is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like he used to tweet shit, and people would be like, "What? Like, what are you saying?"
I mean, he says weird stuff in interviews. I like his attitude. He's just like a happy-go-lucky, smiling guy, and that's why sometimes people hate on him. But I got no beef with Dwight Howard.
Let's see. I just typed in Dwight Howard tweet. I apologize. If I offended anyone with my previous tweet, it was a mistake. My previous tweet was a mistake. I have never commented on international politics and never will. Oh,
that can't be real.
Back in the day, he tweeted hashtag Free Palestine, and then I think
really?
Somebody asked him. Somebody was like, "Yo, Dwight, could you just say Free Palestine?" And he did it. And then some people got mad, and he was like, "I didn't mean that."
Did you see this whole stuff with NBA in China?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know like too much into it because I don't know the history of like Hong Kong.
So I'll tell you. Somebody said something that was like critical of China.
Yeah.
And was like on the side of the Hong Kong protesters.
The GM of the Rockets, Daryl Morey, like tweeted out.
And then basically China was like, "Oh, that's cute. Done." Like whatever they did, like they canceled the preseason games from airing over there.
They cut off all ties to the NBA. So like all the games that they show in China are no longer being shown, and like
they went way over the top with it. And then the NBA like released like kind of a weird backpedaling statement.
He deleted his tweet.
Yeah, and it was like, and everybody was sort of like getting at the NBA because they're like, "Yo, like you're picking," and the reason is they had like a $1.5 billion deal with them or something moving forward.
Yeah, I mean their relationship with China is ridiculous.
So basically, the NBA was picking that deal over like human rights.
Yep.
And so everybody was getting at the NBA, and then now Adam Silver came out again and was like, "No, we're going to protect free speech, yada yada." I was like, "No, you're not. That's why dude deleted his tweet. That's why you released the original statement saying, no, I know we may have offended people. We didn't mean it like that."
Someone definitely got in James Harden's ear because he doesn't say anything on any topics normally. He came out and said, like, we love China. We love the support.
I saw that. It was him and wasn't Westbrook or somebody standing next to him?
Westbrook was next to him too, yeah. But, like, Harden was the face.
That's like a hostage video shit.
Yeah. It's just sad that, like, we got to... I mean, I've never been involved in that big of, like, a deal. Obviously it's multi-millions of dollars, even billion-dollar deal that China has with the NBA. But the fact that, like, you can't just tweet out some shit and...
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, people are such bitches.
Yeah.
And, like, that's kind of how you know that they know they're doing something wrong, too, is that it's such an overreaction. You know what I mean?
But then on the flip side, I also don't fuck with what the guy tweeted out, because if you're not 100% on what you're tweeting right there, if you know maybe down the road you're going to delete the shit, or you haven't done your research on, like, the Hong Kong, China, whatever the hell's going on, then don't be that dumb. You should be smart enough as the GM of the Rockets to not tweet some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I tweet something, I tweeted out that the Joker movie was good. I'll never go back and delete that shit. Even if it comes out something about the producer and the director and all this shit, I thought that was a good movie. So, I'm not putting the tweet out there that, like, I don't genuinely believe.
But here's the thing. Do you think that he really didn't know what he was saying, or was that just a cover-up after the fact to act like, did he know what he's saying, but now they're just backpedaling to save face? You know what I mean? Like, my guess is he knew what he was saying.
You think so? I think it's such a complex situation that I don't think he's educated himself enough on it to know, why the Hong Kong people are fighting against China or whatever, protesting or doing what they're doing. I think it was just on some, like...
Well, it's actually a really interesting thing. Like, Hong Kong was kind of like taken over and colonized by the British.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hong Kong became this area where it's almost like they have very like British values. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a mix of Britain and China.
Yeah.
And so
would be crazy to see if you were there.
It's a very unique culture. And it took a long time. Like, at first, when the British went there, when they colonized it, they had like their own little segregated pockets, and they like kept out all the people who weren't white. And then over time, it just so happened that like the cultures kind of meshed. And then now you have this identity of people who live in Hong Kong who they kind of view themselves as they have like British values, Western values. And what happened was technically it was like part of China, but they had this like semi-autonomous thing going on where like they're part of China but not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're part of China but they're also sort of their own thing, and they kind of make their own decisions and whatnot.
It's
and what
like
happened was
Indians who have like Native American land here in upstate New York or something like that. They abide by their own rules.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There is some sort of a parallel there where they have the reservations where they kind of self-govern and whatnot. It's a little bit different, but it's somewhat similar. But what happened was Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister of Britain, she made a deal because there was like, it's semi-autonomous, but it's almost like just because China's letting them continue to be semi-autonomous, they're semi-autonomous. And so Margaret Thatcher made a deal with the Chinese government back in, I think, the 80s, and they did like a lease on it. Like, okay, here's our deal. You're going to continue to let them be semi-autonomous, and then, but in this future date when it runs out, then, you know, it could be part of mainland China and is no longer semi-autonomous. And what happened was that date came about. The date, I don't think the date has come yet, but China's like already making it clear, like, we're not going to let you continue to be autonomous, and they're kind of going in and taking over, you know? And so then that's where you have Hong Kong protesters who are like, no, we still want to be our own thing. And China's like, nah, man, the deal was the deal, and like, we don't want you to be your own thing anymore. So like, that's what this is all about. So...
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There was the owner of the Nets is I don't know, of Chinese descent or something like that, but he came out with a whole long Facebook tweet.
And what did he say?
It was actually pretty interesting. It was like, you know, he hasn't spoken about anything since he just recently bought the Nets, but he commented on the situation, sort of gave a history background of like basically what you just said. I don't know who he was in support of. It was sort of educating, I guess, Daryl Morey, I think.
So here's my thing, and I've actually spoken about this before in regards to Kashmir, which is
Kashmir.
Yeah, like.
No, I'm kidding.
Like, the one Kyle rule of politics is if a region is semi-autonomous, the default position, if there's a question, is leave it semi-autonomous. You know what I'm saying? Like, stick with what already is when there's a question. So, in other words, Hong Kong should continue to be semi-autonomous like it was before, and just leave it semi-autonomous. Now, that answer is not going to please anybody, because people in Hong Kong, they probably want full independence. Like a lot. Actually, let me retract that. I don't know. But I'm sure many of them, the protesters, definitely want full independence. They don't want to be part of China at all. But then the Chinese government is going to say, hey man, this was ours all along, and we just let you be semi-autonomous, and the deal's going to run out at some point, and you're still part of us, so tough cookies, deal with it. You know what I mean? So, like, when I look at that, my takeaway is, but if they were functioning as a semi-autonomous region for all this time, and that deal brought about relative peace and stability, and it did, by the way, then why not just keep moving that forward? Like, let it continue to be semi-autonomous moving forward. So let them make their own political decisions. Let them, you know, pick their own leaders, live their own lives, identify how they want to identify. If they want to identify as Hong Kong, you know, from Hong Kong, that's fine. If they want to identify still as Chinese, let them identify as Chinese. But keep it semi-autonomous, because that's the least bad option in front of us. Because either you're going to have China go in there and, like, crack down and take it over, like, forcefully, or you're going to have people try to declare, like, full independence, which could spark an even bigger conflict. Like, just leave it as is, man. Leave it semi-autonomous.
Yeah, I think it gets. I'm comparing it back to like these. I know upstate New York with the Native American land and stuff like that. Is like they want to be autonomous and, you know, own their own land and, you know, govern their own people and do everything their own way. But when it comes to certain things, they look to the state to help them out. So like you drive on the highway through upstate New York, and the highways are really, really good. And then you get to the Indian reservations, and it's like shit. So like they've got a battle now with the New York State on them repairing the roads and paying for that. So it's like you can't look to us to fix your roads when you're trying to be independent and do
but here's
shit.
the
So
thing.
I'm sure
Here's
bigger
why.
shit that
Here's
comes
why
into
it's
play.
not. Here's why it's not a perfect analogy with the Native Americans. Because we did a genocide of them.
Yeah, no, I know.
So it's almost like they've earned the right to just be like, hey, fuck you, fix this.
Yes, I agree.
So that's why the
100%.
Hong Kong thing is a little bit different in my opinion. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, it gets complicated when you have a semi-autonomous region because it's like, okay, well, what are the specifics? Like, how exactly is this going to function? And my understanding was that they kind of, like, pick their own leaders, and most of them, it actually varied over time, but a lot of them identify as, I'm not Chinese, I'm from Hong Kong,
But here's my point, and if Daryl Morey knew what he was tweeting when he tweeted that shit, then you wouldn't see him deleting it. You'd see him doubling down with facts.
See, that's where I disagree, because I bet the NBA called him and they were like, you better delete that.
You think so?
100%, because the politics of this are so, like, if there's $1 billion deal that's threatened, 1.5 billion, you think they're going to sit there and say, oh, Daryl Morey has a right to say whatever he wants? No, they're going to put massive pressure on him behind the scenes and say, delete that, and probably try to force him to apologize.
Yeah. It's just so funny that, like, the NBA is sort of known as the league that lets their players have free speech and do all this, progressive stuff out on the court.
Until a $1.5 billion deal is threatened, and then all of a sudden...
yeah. And it's just like, we're all bought, we're all corporate, we're all, sellouts at the tip of at the mercy of money, so like it's all fun and games when LeBron's doing it because a young kid could buy the hoodie he's wearing or something like that, or do emulate him. But when a GM does it and he's not a cool celebrity, that's why it was like Harden must have got hit off by somebody. Adidas or the NBA must have said to him, hey man, can you please do us a big solid and
100%.
come out and just
They
say
went
something?
to him and they said, you gotta try to help and fix this, and you're the biggest name and all that. 100%. That's absolutely what happened. And it is kind of gross because you're right. They pretend like they're all about, like, we're all about being lefties and, like, we're all for social justice, and, LeBron wearing the shirt of, like, Eric Garner or whoever, and, like, they act like we're for progress, and then in a situation like this, immediately fold because money's on the line. The same thing with Saudi Arabia, how we pretend like we're all about democracy and human rights, and it's like one of our top allies is Saudi Arabia. They're one of the worst governments on the planet. They're doing a genocide right now in Yemen. Like, who are we kidding? Seriously? So it's just that hypocrisy that's so annoying. Because at least if you're going to do that, if you're going to be like, no matter what, we got to protect this deal, like, at least don't pretend like you're holier than thou. Like, at least just acknowledge that you're just all in it for the money. Like, there's a total lack of honesty there that's super annoying. Yes. And also with China, they're putting Uyghur Muslims into concentration camps right this second. Like, quite literally. And so, but everybody's going to turn a blind eye because we have so much business with them that it's just like, something going on? I don't know.
That's what gets me so mad. And, like, not to switch it to the presidential race or whatever like that, but, like, the NBA and, like, Joe Biden and all these people think we're so dumb. And, like, by lying to us and saying that, like, you've never had a conversation with your son about, like, this
Ukraine thing,
the Ukraine thing, and there's pictures of you playing golf with the fucking guy. And it's like, do you think we're that dumb that we can't do our own research and find shit out and just look at shit on the surface and see that you're fucking lying to us? Like, if Adam Silver just came out and be like, yo, Rockets guy fucked up. We got a lot of money in China. I would just be like, oh, I respect that. Get your money, dude.
But see, and like, dude, you're right. And this is actually why, Trump is somewhat Teflon, because like everybody's like, flipping out about what he does. And then what does he do the next day? He goes on camera and he tells China, he's like, maybe you should open an investigation into the Bidens. They're really corrupt. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's doing the thing that we were just saying that he was trying to do. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Like, he's doing it right now. And he's just like, yeah, I did it. And it's like, so then what? What are you going to do? It's almost like the Eminem thing where Eminem, like, in 8 Mile would be like, yeah, I live in a trailer park with my mom. Yeah, I'm a piece of shit. Like, and then when it was the other dude's time to talk, he had nothing to say because he already aired it all out.
Yeah.
And Trump's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Eminem, we've spoken about this before. He's even said too much sometimes where it was just like, yo, you didn't need to tell us, like, the
Mariah Carey thing. Remember the Mariah Carey song? Yeah.
He was like, and I nutted in like 0.25 seconds. Like, you could have left that out, man. Like, we didn't need to hear that.
Speaking of the presidential race, Bernie actually annoyed me today.
What happened?
So he he was giving an interview like when he was going on a walk with his wife.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically said like, "Oh, we're gonna roll back our rallies. We were doing 4 a day. We're gonna like change the nature of our campaign. I got to make sure I have my strength. Yada yada." But like he was saying it as if he was just trying to let everybody know, like, "Oh, we're gonna campaign now like all the other candidates are doing," because he's doing way more than everybody else is doing. He was doing like double what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
But the way he said it was something that the media was immediately going to take out of context and use against him. Because the way he said it, they were like, "Oh, so you don't have your strength? Like, are you thinking of dropping out?" Like, that's what they're acting like now. They're acting like he said, like, "Oh, I'm going to drop out soon," or whatever. He didn't say that. But the way he said it, they could easily misconstrue it to be like that. Like, "Oh, you're reducing your events? Like, what do you mean you're reducing your events? Oh, you need your strength? Oh, you're changing the nature of your campaign? What does that mean?" So now he opened up the door for all the idiots on TV to, like, knock him over the head. And that really pissed me off because I'm like, dude, you've been through this 1,000 times. You know the media is looking to pick you apart.
He could have phrased it differently.
You have to be on the lookout. Like, you have to phrase it a certain way and frame it a certain way where you don't leave any room for misinterpretation. Like, you have to hit them with something like, "Oh, we're gonna be out here and we're gonna be working just as hard as anybody else, if not harder than anybody else."
Yeah, like
now,
we were doing double events.
You could still roll back your number of events, but the way you portray it to everybody, you should portray it in a way where you don't tell them that. You know what I mean? Like, just roll back the events. You don't have to tell them. Just say, "We're still working harder than everybody else." That's it.
Yeah. I know. I'm Bernie's biggest supporter, and I like, but every day that goes on, I start to think like, is he one day in a couple months just gonna be like, "I can't do this anymore," or like I'm too sick or some shit like that? And I hope that's not the case. I don't think that is gonna be the case, but I don't know.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna do that. But the point is, I don't think he gets. He's almost too honest because he doesn't get that in certain situations you have to go over the top and you need to puff your chest out and be on some leader shit. Yeah. Like when this happened and now okay, took a few days to rest and everything. That's all good. Make sure you're getting better. But like this is where the next thing you say to the media when they talk to you, you got to say something like, "I defeated a heart attack. Defeating Donald Trump is going to be easy."
Yeah.
Like, that's what you hit him with that. You hit him with, like, there's no question we're continuing, and we're going to do better than everybody. Yeah. You can't hit him with, like, "Well, we're going to roll back some events." Like, no. And this is something Trump knew better than anybody because he wrote about it in his book back in the day. I think it was in Art of the Deal. He said people want to believe in something that's bigger than them, that's greater than them, that's like supernatural almost. They want to believe in that. And so he sold that image. Like, he sold that image of, like, "I'm that guy. I'm the boss man. I'm the dude who's always the leader, always ready." And, like, sometimes you got to put on that face. Yeah. And unfortunately...
Yeah. I mean, fake it until you make it. So, I mean, like, we don't want to hear some phony shit. Yeah, no, but I saw that. And, I mean, I thought it was super cool just seeing him walk out of his house, some modest-looking shit. He had that, like, small-ass red car in his driveway. Like, imagine being Bernie Sanders' neighbor. Like, that's cool as fuck.
Dude, he's super regular. He's such a regular dude. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect him so much. I mean, listen, for me, and this actually made me feel bad a little bit, but at least I have a good excuse because it's true. I hate flying with a passion. Like, I hate flying. I get nervous and all that stuff. And so as a result of that, I get first-class tickets every time I go because I feel like that extra level of comfort helps. The fact I got a little bit bigger seat, not even going to lie, when you're in first class, they treat you so much nicer.
I'm dead ass. I've never sat in first class.
The mood of the flight attendant when you're in first class, all of a sudden they're there to please you. Yeah. They will treat you like you're the president. They will treat you like you're the president. And for me, since I'm terrified of flying and I get anxiety and all that stuff, I feel like I need that little extra layer of comfort. So I get it. But anyway, this is a long way of saying Bernie still flies coach.
Coach or whatever.
He still flies coach.
Yeah,
and he's a senator.
That. Yeah.
And like that's a man of the people right there, dude.
Yeah.
That's a man of the people.
Who is that president? Was it Jimmy Carter that still gets on like planes and
Jimmy
shakes hands with
Carter
people and
shakes
shit like
everybody's
that?
hand on the plane.
Was he a good president, or he was just like, man?
Well, yes and no. Like, he was good in some ways, bad in some ways. Like, he gets a little bit of a bad rap because there was a gas shortage when he was president, and there was and so there was like lines for gas, and there was a big scandal with Iran, and they had hostages and whatnot. But he does get a little bit of a bad rap. The economy wasn't too great under him. But bottom line is, he's a good person because he's actually
he was
done
still
so
fixing
much.
houses and shit.
Not only so he does the Habitat for Humanity thing. Is that what it's called? Whatever it's called, where he builds
He's
the
definitely
houses.
not helping though, dude. Just go up and make an appearance. Like, we don't need to see you fake putting a nail into some wood shit, because like you're not actually putting the house together. Like, no shade to him, but you're not building that shit. Just show up, like, fucking wave your hands and show people you're there. You don't need to show me that you're nailing some shit
Okay,
into.
but more important than that, he's literally cured diseases. Like,
Oh, for real?
the Carter Foundation, what they do is they've put like filters in the drinking water in like Africa and places that don't have it. And so they like eliminated a certain parasite. I think it was called guinea worm, but I'm not sure. They eliminated that parasite where there were millions of people who had it, and as a direct result of the work that they did, now it's gone.
What?
Yeah, incredible. So that's why I'm saying he's such a good person. Even
I guess
though
that's a good thing.
there are parts of his record that he would say, man, I wish that worked out better, whatever. And also, compared to all the other presidents after World War II, he did the least in terms of war. Like, he did the least. Like, there were still some questionable things, CIA stuff and whatnot, but who knows how directly involved he was with that. But like, every other president was kind of a bigger warmonger than he was.
Here's what I want to ask you. So usually after the fact, I guess as time goes on, you start to look at someone in a better light. You don't feel as harsh towards them or anything anymore. I wanted to ask you about like the whole Ellen and George Bush situation shit.
That was on my list.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was on my list to talk to you about. So here's the thing. Everybody's going around saying, like, and Ellen did the thing on her show where she was like, we got to get along with people we disagree with. Like, we got to, be kind to people and whatnot. And, like, it annoys me when people say that, and here's why. We get it. Everybody gets it. Everybody gets that point. Every single person on the planet gets that point. We all have families. We all have family members who disagree with us massively when it comes to politics. We all have, like, a neighbor or somebody or a friend who's randomly, like, super Republican, racist, whatever it might be, on the opposite end of the political spectrum. Every single person has that. And it's almost like, it's so, like, condescending to say that to people because, like, what do you think, we're in kindergarten? Like, yes, we all exist. We're all in the world. We're all existing. Like, we got it, man. We got it on day one. Like, oh, you should be nice to people who disagree with you. Yeah, I know. Everybody knows. The thing that I hate about this is, Ellen, it's not that we disagree with him. It's that the dude is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis. There was a worldwide torture program that was implemented as a direct result of George W. Bush. He's forget being one of the worst presidents in American history, because he is. He's a war criminal. Like, he belongs behind bars. So he's a war criminal. There's never been justice. He hasn't served a day in prison, and he won't serve a day in prison from now until he dies. And the thing that's messed up is that she spins that as like, oh, it's just a disagreement. No. It's not a disagreement. Because what she's doing is the functional equivalent of somebody saying, like, well, yeah, I went to a basketball game with Mussolini, but you gotta be nice to people who you don't agree with. And it's just like, it's so dense. And the problem is, she's stuck in this mindset of like, well, what do you mean? Like, he meant well. And this is the problem when you have on those empire blinders. Like, no. If somebody's like an American and they do something bad and they do something wrong and they like start an illegal war based on lies, well, I mean, they mean well, right? No. We're allowed to call people war criminals. We're allowed to call things out for what they are. And you can't just spin it as like, oh, it's a disagreement. Listen, let's say she was at this game with, I don't know, Tucker Carlson.
Bin Laden? Oh.
No, like somebody who we do just disagree with.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, would I be upset about it? No. And if people were going after her for it, I'd tell them to shut up. I'd be like, no, this actually is a case of like, you just disagree with him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would be on her side if that was the case. But that's not the case. He's a war criminal, and he never.
What does she respectfully decline? Like she obviously knows she's Ellen DeGeneres. She knows who she's sitting in a suite with before she goes to the game. Is it like, sorry, like I have to be in a different booth? I mean, like, what does she do? Like she can't laugh at a game while sitting next to George Bush. I mean, it's like, is it a tough position for her?
Well, I don't even understand, like, how did it unfold? What happened? It seems like there was some sort of like they were planning to see each other.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, like, and that's my point is like she knows who's going to be in the booth with her. She knows what suite she's going to be in. She's got a list of everybody that's authorized to be in that suite. But I'm assuming that it was just like Jerry Jones's owner's box, and like he just put all the top celebrities in there, and maybe she just had to sit next to him because he was at the game and she was at the game.
Could be. I mean, listen, bottom line, just don't casually hang out with war criminals.
Yeah.
That's it. Or if you're going to do it, at least be crystal clear what side you stand on. And at least, like, in your rant the day after, don't do the whole, like, condescending, like, we got to agree to disagree in this country, and we got to get together with people from the other side. No. That's when you say, hey, listen, man, fact of the matter is, dude is responsible for illegally invading a country based on lies and killing hundreds of thousands of people and implementing a torture program all over the world. That's not just a disagreement. That's a dude who deserves justice. Like, at least say that after the fact, but she didn't. Because again, this is like normalizing some of the worst criminals in modern history. And that's what I think gets under people's skin, is that there's this like stupid carve out for like, well, he's an American, so it's okay. Like,
yeah. She would never be at a game with O.J. Simpson.
Never be at a game with O.J. Simpson. And a good like way for people to think about it is like people who are defending her. It's like, okay, well, what if she was at a game with Maduro? Like, a lot of these people would be like, "What? Why are you hanging out with this guy? He's a ruthless dictator." But, you know...
Or who's the Russian guy?
Putin.
Yeah, Putin. Like, if she's sitting next to Putin and then went on Ellen the next day and was just like...
It's just a disagreement.
We all disagree.
It's just a disagreement. Yeah,
so, she would never do that.
And the thing that's... So, we all get it. Like, that's the point, is should you, generally speaking, like, should everybody, generally speaking, get the stick out of their ass and, like, genuinely agree to disagree and try to get along with people who you're not on the same page as? Yes, I actually think that's true. But this is like one of those instances where that's just so, like, that's such a misrepresentation of why people are actually mad. Like, people are actually mad because that dude has the blood of hundreds of thousands of people on his hand. It's not just a disagreement. If she was sitting next to somebody who was a conservative who she just disagreed with, that's fine. But that's not what this is. Yeah. That's not what this is. So that's my thing. I know you were probably defending her first because you thought, like, whatever, people need to chill.
Well, I wasn't. It's a good point that, like, if she's sitting next to
Tucker Carlson, Bill O'Reilly, whoever,
the Russian guy,
Vladimir Putin,
she's not doing that. You know, like, she's not sitting next to him and then going on her show the next day and saying, we just disagree. You know, he's still a human being, because she knows the backlash that'll come from that, and she just knows that it's not right because he's a terrible person. So what makes George Bush any different than that? And to your point, is it because he's an American? Because he's a Texan? Like why is he likable? Because he's holding like a little puppy dog before
because he's our guy. That's what that's the mindset. The mindset is, oh, he's part of the team. He's American. He's part of the team.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then again, to use the example I was using before, some random Italian person, like, you know, I was just at a game with Mussolini. What?
Yeah.
Like, everybody would look at them and be like, why are you being so dense on purpose? Like, you're being dense. You know why this is an issue.
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to spin it as a disagreement. Like, no, that's not just a disagreement.
Yeah. And of course, it looks good for her. She's saying it in front of her audience, so she gets a big applause, and it's just like everybody looks happy.
It's so
and they're
smug.
Agreeing with her.
Like, it's so smug. Like, the kindergarten level analysis of, like, we should get along with people. Oh, thank you, Ellen. I didn't know that. I thought I was supposed to fucking spit in everybody's face when I saw them and, like, shit in their Cheerios. Like, that's what I thought, Ellen. I need to thank you for laying that out for me.
But have a real discussion about it. Go on a political show, even if it's Fox News or MSNBC or CNN or some shit. Talk to someone who
but they all agree with
might
her.
not agree with you.
Yeah,
they're
right.
all going to agree with
Oh,
her.
I see what you're saying. So if she were to debate George W. Bush or something.
Yeah, like or like talk to an audience that all isn't going to clap for you and smile for you and give you the answer that you want to hear, because all you're doing is talking to the person that's going to say, "Yes, you did the right thing."
By
Like,
the way, another thing that he did, how's this for weird? Another thing he did in 2004, part of what he ran on is having a constitutional amendment to not allow gay marriage.
yeah, see, like
That's basically like some like a black dude hanging out with like George Wallace, who was the number one segregationist who ran on segregation for president.
yeah.
Like, are we supposed to just look at that and be like, he just disagrees? No, the dude fundamentally doesn't think that you should have the same human rights. Period.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't think you're equally human. Is that just a
what-
disagreement? Is that all that? Oh, that's just a disagreement. He thinks that I'm not human. It's okay. It's like, what? That's
That's what I'm saying. Like, put that shit in the public opinion to hear perspectives from other people and not just the audience that are there to see you and tell you everything you want to hear. You know, it's just like she lives in this fucking bubble, and no one has ever said to her like, "Ellen, maybe that was the wrong thing. Maybe you should apologize," or
because
not just
he's part of the
defend yourself
club.
whole
That's
time.
another point people made. It's like, ultimately, he's part of the club and she's part of the club because she's like a multi-millionaire,
Yeah.
super famous, on TV. He's a former president. So they're all technically part of the club, where even if they didn't know each other like that, they know people who know each other like that. She's got a close friend who's friends with him or friends with somebody who's close to him.
100%.
It's part of that
shit-
club. It's part of that club.
That whole Hollywood celebrity like liberalism. I've told you this before. I think a lot of that shit is bullshit. I think there's genuine people like there's that guy what was it, Mark Ruffalo or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely cares about shit, and like he gets in the weeds and the nitty-gritty of helping people. And then I think there's a different level of liberal, like celebrity Hollywood liberalism, where they write a check, they donate, and they make it look like they really care about this shit. But deep down, they have no worries because they're multi-billionaires anyway.
Those are the people who are supporting like Biden and Kamala.
Yes.
Those are
and
the
it's
people,
just,
and Mayor Pete. Like,
Yes,
they like
yes.
that surface level change of like,
Yes.
oh, the first gay president, or,
Yes.
oh, the first black woman president.
Yes.
Like, that's how deep they go. But then when you tell them like, but they're not for Medicare for all, and Medicare for all is important, or else we'll have like 45,000 Americans die because they don't have health care every year.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, but I still support them. It's like, well, then you're not really all for justice now, are you?
It's easy to look like a superhero. And granted, Ellen does amazing things. I'm a big Ellen fan. I watch her
I know,
show.
that's why I was interested to hear your take on it, because I know how much you like her.
I'm a big fan of hers. I think she does great things, but like it's easy to look like this super duper hero when like you're giving away $100,000 of corporate money, Target, Walmart, to like people who are struggling. So you look like this amazing person. But like, why don't you like this situation come out and say how bad of a person George Bush was, and like stand for like a Bernie Sanders or something like that. Like, stop being just so fluffy about shit because nothing really matters to you. It's not ultimately affecting your checkbook. There's nothing, you've got your healthcare, you've got your doctors, you're set.
Yeah.
So like you can look great and like have lesbian friends and be gay and like all this shit, but deep down, like nothing really matters to you. So like you're not going to get in the weeds of stuff.
This election and the 2016 election really is exposing the frauds, I'd say, because and maybe there was an argument at one time for, oh, they're ignorant, they just don't know. But no, Bernie's been around long enough where you know at this point, like you get it, and you're making a decision at this point if you're sitting on the sidelines or advocating for somebody else. Because we have a once in a generation candidate here who's really, and Killer Mike says it best, the rapper Killer Mike. He says, this is the first candidate in my lifetime who I've seen is running on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s mantle. Like, that's his platform. His platform is, I'm the embodiment of the philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm sorry, but even the other good candidates don't touch him. No. They just don't. I could tell you multiple areas where they fall short. I mean, just the first one that comes to mind, which is super important, is he's for eliminating all medical debt. and he's for eliminating all student loan debt. That's not something any of the other candidates support.
I love the point you made on that. Like that one segment you did on the Hill, or whatever, on Bernie Sanders was so spot on, dude. And it's like, I usually can't understand half the shit you say because it's just so fucking smart or whatnot. But like, you put it in layman terms is like the difference between Biden and Warren is like, as you said, Warren puts this arbitrary line of like, we're going to stop it right here. And we can't pay any more than that. And
you mean the difference between Bernie and Warren? You said Biden. You meant Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like she just makes up this number, and it's like we can't pay more than that, and it's just like, well, why?
Yeah, exactly.
We have
100%.
the money to do it,
and look at that, and then apply that to every other issue too, because in every other area he also takes a step further than everybody.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, we're going to do the right thing here too. Like conditioning the aid we give to Israel. He's basically saying like, oh, Netanyahu, you want more aid? Okay, well then how about you stop the illegal settlements and also don't ban American Congress people, because he was saying Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez aren't welcome in Israel.
Yeah.
He's like, well, if you want our money, you're going to let him in.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is a once-in-a-generation candidate who's, like, unique in his ability. Like, it's all there. And not only is it all there, the policy proposals are there, but also the record is there because he's been fighting for this stuff all along. And the strategy is there. He knows how to do it. He knows how to take on the political establishment. And he says it. He said it to me. He was like, yeah, we'll go rally in the states where there are Democrats who are blocking our agenda. Like, we will take on our own party.
Yeah.
So this is a once-in-a-generation candidate. And people, they know what he's about. And they know that he's the real deal. And so if you're sitting on the sidelines in today's day and age, then I know that you're not really about it. Like, you can go out there and try to pretend like you're, Mr. Good Person or whatever, and like, I care so deeply about people, and look at how I'm helping out some orphaned kid and do whatever. Like, but are you really about it? Are you really about improving people's lives? Are you really about fixing the system? Are you really about making a systemic change or not? And the answer is they're not if they're sitting on the sidelines and pretending they're not going to pick a side.
Deep down, these celebrities know that, like, Bernie, in some small way, might affect them, So it's just like they're going to take a fluffy choice of like a Beto or some shit like that because
Bernie's going to raise their taxes.
Exactly.
Bernie's going to raise their taxes. And yeah, he's actually about making the system fair for working people. And that would mean that those at the top have to take a haircut, especially those like Ellen who are multi-millionaires.
Yeah. Yeah. And who are aspiring to be even billionaires. Like, her new joke is like, she's I mean, like, I love her show just because it's like I said, it's bright colors and like she has all the top guests on. And
is she on some Oprah level stuff with wealth?
Yeah, she's up there.
Because Oprah's a billionaire, man.
Oh, money wise, yeah. Ellen's up there. She's got her own line of like shit, but like she's trying to be a billionaire too. So it's like, why she's not going to advocate for someone who's ultimately trying to get into her pockets, because her new shit is she makes these jokes and like her special was like relatable, but really like not relatable. And she was making all these jokes that like she's super rich and like, oh, like I don't do that now because I'm so rich. And it's just like, those jokes aren't funny. Like, you're going to get, again, your audience to laugh because it's a bunch of like hormonal women who are there to just like laugh and like fucking get off, like blow steam for their husbands who are probably cheating on them or some shit. So they're just like in your audience. But like, those jokes aren't funny. Nobody cares that you're super rich and you can't relate to us anymore. Like I don't know. I hate. It gets me mad. Like, why does she even have to sit in a fucking suite? Like, just sit in the stands. Like, suites in a football stadium and a basketball, everything is just like, it's so privileged. And anyone who sits in those shits always brag about them. I do the same thing. If I ever sit in a suite.
Have you ever been in one or no?
I set Molly's best friend. Her father used to be the owner of a sports team, so he sat in the owner's box one time, which was amazing. But like, I'm not ever paying to sit in a suite or some shit like that. But anytime you're in a suite, you're like putting on Instagram that you're there. Like, there should be no reason for suites. It's just like all this like class shit, and it's just like, why can't we all just sit together in the stands? Like, obviously some seats are going to be better than others. You stumbled upon the other thing, which is what people were saying about the Ellen thing, which is like, you and George Bush are hanging out really because you're in the same class. Yes. That same class of like the uber wealthy elites. Yes.
So, like, that's really why you're chilling with him and why it's okay. Because, like, he's in that same social network, that same little top echelon of society, that little sliver. By the way, $450 million is what she's worth.
Yeah, and it's just like, she's giving away, like,
How did Oprah get $2.7 billion? Because I feel like they've been on TV for about the same. I mean, Oprah's not on TV anymore, but she has her own channel. But
yeah, but Oprah had like book club shit that she started. She started her own fucking network.
She's on some genius, like, entrepreneur level stuff, Oprah.
Yeah, but I think also society, like, they select people. And
she struck a chord, dog. Like, that chord. The chord that she struck was like literally every single, like, housewife who was home, like, during the day would watch Oprah. Like, every single one of them. So there was legit, like, 200 million people who were, like, on every now and then, once a week, whatever it might be like, I gotta watch Oprah.
But there's certain people that fit a status quo, like, and that fit it fits a certain, like, category or something that we need as a society. So, like, the same way when you go to a sporting event, they tell you, like, if you're on, like, the hype team and you need to get a bunch of people for a half-court shot, they tell you, all right, sorry, you need an athletic dude, you need a fat guy, you need a Hispanic dude, you need a black person. Like, you need certain people. We have that as a society. So Oprah fits, like, the black woman criteria. There's, like, Judge Judy's, like, the old white lady.
Angry old white lady.
Angry old white lady. Who white guy is like Carson Daly or some shit like that.
Kevin
like,
James is like the fat white dude.
Yeah, like Eminem. MTV did this perfectly.
Angry, angsty, young white dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, MTV, these people maybe weren't maybe Eminem isn't the best rapper of all time, but MTV sure made it that he was, so we're talking about it. But I'm sure there's a dude in freaking wherever, Montana, who could rap just as good as Eminem.
I take your point, but part of the success is that he kept showing up too. Like, that's the same thing about Oprah. Like, you could say, oh, I'm sure there was some host out there that was better, yada yada, but she kept showing up, and, like, it is true that people kept tuning in to her. Like, nobody could.
She was also selected to keep showing up. You know, like, I'm not saying Oprah's like, but Eminem was selected. Like, there's certain people.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a little more organic than you're giving it credit for. Because for what I did with my show, it's not like I was selected. It was like, no, I kept showing up and people wanted to keep watching. So it was a little more organic than you're making it seem. You're making it seem like it's too top-downish. Like, there's, like, it's not that she's like, oh, the only, black lady with a TV show or something. It was, she hit that frequency at that time. Like, she hardcore represented some, like, 1980s, 1990s vibe stuff. Like, this kind of down-to-earth black woman who just hit that chord in the minds of so many people, where, like, she was always optimistic and, like, looking for better things. And
but it's also when you're a ball rolling downhill, that shit just picks up fucking steam too. So while she's got a good show, someone pitches her an idea to, like, I'm sure she was into books, but I don't know, was it her idea to start, like, Oprah Magazine and, like, do all this book club shit?
Well,
and, like,
the snowball effect is definitely real. I'll give you that for sure. The snowball effect is definitely real, where once she hit that certain level, that foothold of success, and then more ideas started coming, what's amazing with her is that every one seemed to be a hit.
Yeah, but that's my point, is, like, were they all hits, or was it just hype that everybody fucking loved those shits? So it's almost to a point where
it's almost the same thing. It's like, if it's just hype and the hype leads to the success, or if it's a success period, ultimately it ends up being a success.
Yeah, I guess that's
it's like the same. It's like the same thing as saying,
that banging?
What?
It's like a cronut. Like, are those shits that banging, or has society just built those shits up to make them seem like they're banging?
Yeah, or like, there's mad advertisements for a certain car, and then there's a lot of those cars that get sold that year. It's like, well, yeah, maybe not as many would have been sold if it wasn't on billboards everywhere, but at the same time, there were still that many sold, so does it really matter how we got to that point?
Yeah.
Because, man, people were still watching Oprah, even though you could say that she had a massive institutional backing after a while, because the network loved her, and they put her everywhere, and they had all these ideas for her, but ultimately, it worked. Like, it worked.
I guess so.
Like they
Who
could
does
try
Oprah,
to.
Does she come out and say she supports anybody?
Who?
Do we know or no?
Oprah?
Does Oprah support
No,
anybody?
but she did an interview with Beto.
Oh. And I hate that shit too. Like she plays the fucking fluff card. Like choose somebody.
But it's funny because Beto actually, if you think about it, Oprah is just better at pulling off the Beto vibe than Beto is. Like Oprah was the talk show Beto. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was her thing. Like she was everybody liked her. Like, but nobody likes Beto now. So it's almost, but like that's, I think she kind of liked Beto because she saw like that vibe, that same vibe. They're tapping into that same frequency. Yeah. But she was just better at it than he was. Like he's totally unconvincing. She's convincing as like a happy-go-lucky person, you know?
Yeah. It's embarrassing for him. I was having a conversation with Molly's father, and I was really just getting behind Bernie, and I was just like, he's the only guy that like no one has ever, had some dirt on him or is digging some shit up and is saying something like Joe Biden sitting there lying to us about this whole fucking situation going on. And he thinks we're dumb about this. Warren, there's old videos of her lying about shit. And he goes, and then we brought up Beto, and he was like, I did like that he said he was going to, take away people's guns. That was pretty bold of him to say. And I was just like, well, one, he's not doing that shit. So it was easy for him to say.
He's definitely not doing that.
and then I said, two, he's fucking said everything under the sun. So it's just like something's got to stick after a while.
Yeah, he's trying, man. He's throwing everything against the wall at this point. Because he's not going anywhere. He's so, like, that's why he got good positive press after he cursed, so he just kept cursing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to come out and just be like, I pee sitting down. And everybody's going to be like, yeah, I fucking pee sitting down too, man. I like this guy. I'm going to retweet that shit. Which low-key, peeing sitting down is the shit. And if you don't, you're wrong.
I mean, only time I do that is when I'm taking a shit or, like, it's mad late. And
I think I do it all the time.
I might have to revoke your man card, bro.
Even at the airport, I'll go to the urinal and I'll just sit down in the urinal. No, I'm kidding. I'll stand up at the urinal. But in my house, if I'm trying to chill and like just read some shit, like fucking daughter, it's good alone time in there, man.
Sometimes I'll do the old man thing where I'll stand up, but I'll like put my hand against the wall and like lean on it.
Oh, that's the best when you're like
imagine how sad that looks. It looks like I'm like an 80-year-old man trying to prop myself up, you know?
You ever do like the double hand? Like
hell yeah, I've done that. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially when it's like a record-breaking long pee.
But then sometimes like your dong will hit like the front of the urinal and it's just like...
Oh, you're talking at the urinal. Ugh.
Yeah.
No, I make sure my dick never hits the urinal.
Because the urinal's so like cold, and if there's got to be like mad viruses and shit on the urinal that like if any part of your balls or like whatever touch that, it's a wrap. Like you caught something.
We've had this conversation before, but the urinals that don't have the dividers need to be banned.
Yeah.
Because that's just mad obnoxious. You're standing there, and then a 47-year-old dude named Barry walks up next to you, definitely trying to peep your dick. And you're like, Barry, come on, man.
Yeah, like take a glance, but then keep it moving.
Okay, final thing I wanted to talk about. And this I'm really curious your thoughts on because this is left field a little bit. You might be like a little surprised by this one. So this has happened to me a few times recently. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, quite literally. I'm about to say it's kind of a good thing, but like, so I'll go to sleep, right? And then I'll like randomly wake up at like 4:30 a.m., okay? Or like 5 o'clock a.m. And so I wake up, and it's one of those things where I wake up and it's like full awake. Not even like a little bit, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you wake up, you're half asleep, half awake, and you know I could try to get back to sleep. I'm talking wake up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. or sometimes 4 a.m. and it's just, boom, wide awake, okay? Now, in those instances, I'm not even mad. And here's why. It's not on some day stuff yet. It's way too early to be like day, okay? It's like middle of the night. Nobody's awake, okay? And dark outside, you're not going to turn on lights and start doing stuff. So that's actually like the perfect time where I'll like watch TV and like lock in to something I would never normally watch. So like I'll lock into like some like aerial disasters TV show where they talk about a plane crash that happened in like 2003 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they go into the details of it, and you're like sucked into the show, and you're watching it, and you like are interested. Or I'll
You can
watch some
retain more of the information too.
100%, and then or like some nature documentary that just on cheetahs that just I'm like zoned in on it. I was watching. There's this channel that's sort of banging, which I like a lot now. It's the Smithsonian channel, and like every program they have is mad interesting. Like every single one is super interesting. There was one that I was watching when this happened to me the other night. It's called Aerial America, and they just like tell you the history of like the different states, and they'll show you like the aerial view of what went on there. And they were talking about how like there was one episode where they were talking about how the U.S. developed and all the big cities are by waterways, and so like you could see where all the big cities are, and it's only based off of, well, that's where the water is, that's where the port was, people would come here. And, like, that's how it developed. And it explained to you exactly how it developed. And I was like, oh, my God, that's so interesting. I never knew that. I never thought about that, so on and so forth. So, anyway, this is my long way of saying, randomly, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'll start watching something on TV or whatever. And it's at those times, I never feel more free than when it's dumb late at night, nobody's awake, and I'm just awake, locked into a TV show. And then inevitably what happens is an hour and a half later, I clonk right back out, man.
Pass out.
I go right back to sleep, and it's buttery too. Like I usually get that good sleep after that.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the random, like, am I bugging by saying I feel like I'm the most free at that moment?
No, you're 100% right. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think I really enjoy waking up at those times too. If I do wake up at a time, if it's like 3:30, 3:45, because I sort of get giddy because I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, it's 3:45. I still got like 5 hours of sleep left, like, so I can even put the TV on for an hour and it'd be like 4:45 and be like, I still got another 3 hours. It's not like the worst feeling is waking up 15 minutes before your alarm and you're like, should I go back to sleep? Because I know my shit's going off in 15 minutes. Those 2:30, 3:30 wake ups, you're like, I could fall back asleep and it's a hot minute before my alarm's going off. So like, you're right. It's almost just like you're stealing time from the world because it's like, what do I do? Should I go back to sleep or like, should I catch up on some shows right now? And to your point, the TV producers almost put some shit on that it's like the default. It's like a screensaver. Screensavers are banging. You'll see like the Grand Canyon. You'll see like some cool like Mars aerial shot or some shit.
Yep.
That, like you'll look at a screensaver and be like, damn, that's beautiful. Like you only see that shit when I'm not working. And like at that moment, looking at the screensaver, it's like a refreshing shit because it's like behind that screensaver is all my work.
Dude,
but I'm just chilling right now.
I care. There's stuff that I watch at 4:00 in the morning that I wouldn't normally care about during a busy day. Like
Yes.
if I watched that same Aerial America show during a busy day, I'd be like, this is whack.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's 4:00 in the morning, I'm totally locked into it. And I'm actually interested in it, and everything seems fresh. Like I'm getting a fresh perspective, and my mind's totally clear. And I got no responsibilities, no nothing. And I like what you said there. You said it's like you're stealing time from the world.
Yep.
And here's why that's the case. Because when I go back to sleep, and then when I wake up, it's like I didn't wake up for an hour in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Like that didn't actually happen because I'm still getting a solid like 7-8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Just with a random chunk in the middle missing. But that's not, it was only an hour. It's whatever.
Yep.
So it's legit like stealing time from the world. Like I woke up at this time, stole some time from the world, went right back to sleep, and I just really enjoyed it and really felt free when that was happening, man.
Yeah.
Like it feels so free. I'm like, nobody's awake at all. Like nobody, obviously different time zones people are awake, but nobody around me, nobody anywhere around me is awake. And so I'm the only one awake in the world watching this and just locked in, chilling.
Yeah,
so
and that's
relaxing.
When you get, like your most authentic content too, because I'm telling you, there's no corporate money at 3 a.m. So like, they put the default shit on, and the default shit is some banging like, I'm gonna tell you about Earth. Like,
there was one about how the moon like came to be.
Like shit like that. Like you're not gonna get that at 6 o'clock at night when everybody's eating dinner or something like that, because like National Geographic is sucking the dong of like Ford Motor Company who wants to put like some conspiracy theory show on or something like that.
Yeah.
You're right. There's no better time of waking up at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. Cause like You've even got time to like walk to your fridge and get a cold ass drink and get back in bed and still be butter because you have all that time. And then you're right. When you wake up at your normal time, you almost have to think like, did all that shit go down like a couple hours ago?
And
like,
then,
was I just up standing at the fridge?
And then here's the other thing. I find that like my mind is never overactive at that time either. Like I'm wide awake, but my mind's not going 1,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
And I always feel like super locked into whatever I'm watching.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't exist, but I exist. And it's just, I'm just soaking it in.
Yep. Yeah. Nothing's going on. Like there's no, like Twitter's shut down. Like the lights are off on Twitter.
Dude, the thought never even occurred to me of like, maybe I should look through Twitter. It just doesn't occur to me at 4 o'clock in the morning when I just randomly wake up. And that's a good thing. Like I like that feeling of being awake and not having to think about any kind of extra thing. And that's the only time I get it. Because the second I wake up, when I wake up, I'm like, I got to check Twitter. I got to do this. I got to do that.
It's perfect time. It's like, that's low key underrated. A banging ass time.
But that's what I'm saying. And I wonder how many people will agree with you and me on this because there are definitely going to be some people.
But they don't realize it.
There are definitely going to be some people who are just like, come on, man. Like, you woke up in the middle of the night when you want to be sleeping. Like, that's a problem.
Nah, they're wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah, because you gotta appreciate the experience. I will give them this, though. If you get caught in a situation where you're half awake, half asleep, and you want to sleep, but you can't sleep, that sucks. But what I'm talking about is when you wake up and it's one of those quick, like, I'm wide awake things. Because that's what's happened to me like 3 or 4 times within the past 2 months.
I think it usually happens if you take like a nap, like at like 7 o'clock or some shit like that.
Or in my case, because I usually don't do naps, but in my case, if I fall asleep a little earlier than I usually would, like 30 minutes or an hour earlier, that's when I'll randomly pop up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm the same as you. But I love that. There's no better feeling because it's just like you don't want to do shit outside of your house, but there's plenty of shit inside your house that like you'll do, and that's watching TV. Some of the like a great picture is someone when it's like super dark in their house and you just see the light of the TV reflecting off the shit is almost like that's such a refreshing photo to me.
That's so true. And the funny thing is people are going to make fun of us because there's so many things we've said on the podcast over the years about how much we love TV.
Yeah.
And people make fun of us, but like it's true. It is. It's just
take
the
that
best.
picture with the TV off, then it's just like a dark room of someone sitting on a chair.
Nothingness, creepy, stupid.
So whether you like TV or not, that image is just a refreshing image, and that's I don't think that's debatable. I think it's like
mad people are going to debate it, but I agree with you. Like
I don't think it's debatable. Like that iconic picture of someone sitting in a fucking recliner chair with the TV on in front of them, and it's just that bright light and a dark room. That shit just looks like perfection. That's just a perfect picture. You
know the story. I think I've told you the story. When I really learned to appreciate fully how much I love TV was when we got hit by Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, yeah.
And we lost power where I was living for over a week. And then when it came back on, that day that it came back on, I kid you not, Corin, I went through every single channel. And I legit gave like every channel at least 2 minutes of watching it. I'm serious.
It was like they were like auditioning for you. You're like, Hallmark Channel, here's your 2 minutes. Show me what you got.
But I like soaked in the fact that all these channels exist.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I like the fact that there's a channel that only plays tennis.
Yeah.
I like that. Like I went through every one and just soaked it in, and I was like, this is so beautiful. Like I put on some like NCIS or whatever, which I never watch. I just had that on for 2 minutes, just watching a scene. Like, yes, I'm so happy you exist, NCIS.
Like, let shit go away permanently, and then tell me how you really feel about that shit. Like all vegans out there, like let meat really be off the planet forever. I don't think you'll be happy because I think you need meat there to
appreciate not having it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, as much as Molly hates TV. If that shit was like no longer, if Beto was coming and taking all of our TVs, she'd be tight a little bit. She'd be like, no, like what? I need to watch that every Thursday because This Is Us or whatever. You know, like
that's what happened when remember when Twinkies went out of business like 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Twinkies went out of business, And I never really had Twinkies a lot. But the second I heard they were going out of business, I went out and bought a box.
Yes.
So I was like, no, you can't. You're Twinkies.
Yep.
You have to keep existing, even if I don't eat you.
Yeah.
And for TV,
Back to these joints, banging as
delicious.
fuck.
For TV, it hit me harder than anything. I just sat there watching TV when it came back. I don't know if I'll ever match that. The feeling of after that more than a week of having no power, taking a hot shower.
That was nice.
Hot shower and watching TV. I don't think anything will ever match that feeling right then and there. I was like, oh, just.
I think people take for granted taking a shower, man. I've been in Colombia, and I've said this before. There's been drops of water that I've had to shower from, just little droplets.
That's rough.
Just like, boop.
That's rough.
Boop.
Because you can't. How are you going to take like soap?
You can't.
Soap.
I just want to go back to this guy.
Arnold Palmer.
He didn't fucking create that shit, man. I'm telling you.
Listen,
he was so busy being the best golfer, he doesn't have time to use his brain to think that lemonade mixes with fucking iced tea.
You will not get me to talk bad about Arnold Palmer, because Arnold Palmer is the reason why we have the modern major championship schedule. He's the reason why the 4 majors are considered the Masters, the PGA Championship, the British
But
Open.
Be amazing as that. Like, be a fucking
US
real
Open.
person and admit that you didn't fucking invent that shit. Like, he's dead now, but right as he was about to die, he should have fucking wrote a note, or there should be a note somewhere in his house when someone sells his estate that says, like, and I didn't really invent that shit. It was Steve, the caddy.
I hope that his family sues you.
No, you don't. No, don't listen to it.
And they're like, how dare you?
Allegedly.
He came up
didn't
with
come
this.
up with that shit.
How dare you, Corin?
I hope that Steve, the caddy, is listening to our shit right now and is like 87, and he's the most swagged out 87-year-old guy, and he's got like a non-disclosure or some shit where he can't say that he was the real inventor of the half lemonade, half iced tea.
You know what's
Because
crazy? Mad people
all the
did
fucking
that.
inventors-
He was definitely not the only person who did that. Like
100%.
there were
Fuck
definitely
no.
like hundreds of people who had thought about that previously.
Hell yeah, and there's mad people that are salty at him. Like, why is his name on that shit?
I mean, whatever. He earned it.
No,
Yes, he
he
did.
earned his golf shit. Like,
Arnold Palmer,
Michael
we love
Jordan
you.
can't
Pay homage to the king.
Michael Jordan can't take bread and butter and just be like, it's Michael Jordan. bread
This
and
is
butter."
not
No,
bread and butter. It's like a quirky,
Same
clever
shit.
drink.
it's the same shit. Michael
not
Jordan
the
can't
same
take
as bread
for
and
that
butter.
shit.
Millions of people eat bread and butter. There were like 12 people who had ever ordered iced tea and lemonade together.
Mad people order that shit, and even the servers now are like, "Oh, Arnold Palmer, he shouldn't get credit for this shit because he didn't do it." I don't.
I'll tell you what though, and I really mean this. The second you held that up, I wish I had one. I was like, damn, I wish I had Arnold Palmer right now.
It's like George Foreman. That motherfucker didn't invent those grills. Someone else did, and they put his name on it, and he gets all the credit for it. You think he was?
I see what you're saying. So maybe like whatever company, like Arizona Iced Tea, came to Arnold Palmer and they were like, "Hey man, we're thinking about maybe selling this drink. Would you want to put your name on it?"
Exactly.
Although he was a businessman his entire life, so he probably thought about all this shit too.
He wasn't mixing that shit.
All right, dog. Well, I really got to pee, so we got to end this thing. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Much love. Peace.